What is up, you guys? I'm going to show you guys how to make this kind of drop. It's very popular, and there's a bunch of artists that kind of do these drops, and this is actually sort of a request tutorial, so it's on that one kind of airport song that's kind of new right now, and this is the song right here, the original. So the person that asked me to do this wanted me to get the little plucky things down, and it's a very unique sound. So I tried, looked through all presets, made a few patches, but I couldn't get really close. So I figured instead of showing them how to make the original sound, I'm going to kind of give them the vibe of it. So this is the original, and then I'll unsolo it and I'll play just mine next to it, and it's similar vibes. So I hope he doesn't mind that. So I figure it's better to show you guys maybe how to make your own original drops, and kind of what needs to be in it. So really it's three important things that need to be in it, and one of them is actually missing from the original, I think. I mean, the original is a really good song too, but I feel like what was missing, and this is one of them, you need a nice top lead, a nice sub, and then of course just maybe like something that gives a lot of space, so just another layer that is all width and space. So I'll start from the bottom, and I'm gonna give you guys the massive sub bass patch, so I'm not really gonna go over that one, which will be this layer right here. All it is just a sub bass, and I just threw on some Bronner tube on top of it. So I'm gonna give you guys that one, and I will probably give you guys this patch right here. It's called a K-Sade lead, I think. So I'm going to give you guys these two massive patches. All you got to do is click in the link below. It should be a link to my Facebook, and then you just go there, and you can like my page and then download it. And then if you really only want to just get the preset, then you can just immediately unlike me, I guess. But please stick around, because I do throw on a lot of presets, so it benefits you to kind of be watching and liked on my other page. And so these two presets will be there. And I'm gonna mute the other one now, so just play those two by itself. And they're both playing the same MIDI notes. They're just both playing F3, and they're just the pattern that I got from this is exactly the same pattern from the original. So if you want to know how to do that in Ableton, you import or bring in or just drag and drop a song that you like, use it as a reference track. Then you can go to convert melody to new MIDI track or harmony. I usually do both and see which one is more accurate, because the algorithm will give you a close enough MIDI representation, but sometimes you just gotta see which one fits better. So from that, I got these, and I just moved it and tweaked it slightly, and that's how I ended up matching kind of the same timing and vibe as the top. And so then this brings me to the silence patch that I'm going to show you guys how to make, and I'll go over all the effects and stuff real soon, but this is what the silence one sounds like. So this is the layer that I was talking about that adds the space and all the kind of width to the track, because the sub will just reinforce the width. So again, the massive sub bass one reinforces this one, and the nice lead just kind of tops it all off. And in the original, there's not even a nice lead. It doesn't really need it. It's kind of awesome just the way it is. But if I take out the lead, kind of the same vibe as the original, but now I like to just have a nice lead on top of it, or a nice little cherry on top, and it sounds like this. And since it's playing the same thing, it's not as interesting. I mean, this is a patch that you would probably make into a sort of melody. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. And now let's just get into silence with this one. So it's just kind of like making a supersaw sorta. So get out silence, go to menu and initialize your preset, or initiate, whatever you want to call it. And so now you have a blank preset. And now what you want to do is go up here, bring your voices up to 16 so that you're using all the voicing. And now you're going to bring this first oscillator down an octave. You're going to make sure this is a Q pulse. And you're going to bring this up to 4 voices. Retrig will stay on. No fine tuning. No, there's some detuning here. So that's at 5.76. Then we're going to bring stereo up all the way. I actually think that's where it is by default. I don't know. I usually move everything around. And that's pretty much it for oscillator 1. Now I'm just going to go left from right here. So let's just do the amp envelope, which we're going to copy into part B also. So for the amp, we're just going to leave the attack all the way down. We're going to bring our decay to 6.44. We're going to get that sustain, and we're going to put it at 2.53. Release all the way down. And then just click on the little C here. And then when you go to part B here, just paste it in. So leaves less work for you to do. And now for oscillator 2 in part A, we're going to bring this down an octave as well. We're going to invert this wave. It's just a saw wave. 4 voices, retrigger on. We're going to detune this to 6.33. And that's pretty much it. No fine tuning. And now let's do our filter A. So filter A is just a regular old low pass that's going to be on the 12 dB slope. And we're going to bring the cutoff to around 16.47 hertz. Reso at 3.05. And drive is at 2.95. And let's see, let's go part B now, and then we'll get into all this stuff. So for part B, actually let me see something real quick. Okay, no. So part B, for oscillator 1, we're going to bring this down an octave as well. We're going to select another Q pulse, 8 voices this time. Retrig will stay on. We're going to phase it 73.71 degrees. We're going to detune it to 5.24. And that will be it for this one. And again, amp envelope is the same from part A, so just copy that over. That's what these C and P's on top of most of these boxes are. They're copy and paste. But it doesn't work from like one track to another. So like you can't copy a silent here and then go into another like track here and then paste it. I've tried. It doesn't work. I wish. And so now for oscillator 2 in part B, we're going to just leave it at 0 for the octave. We're going to invert this wave. It's going to be a saw wave. 8 voices, retrigger on. We're going to detune it to 3.19. And that would be it. And now let's do our filter here. So it's very similar to part A. It's a low pass, except this time it's on 24 dB slope. Cutoff is 8.88 hertz. Reso is 4.76. Drive is 2.43. And now let's do our main filter control here. So cutoff is just up all the way. And reso is at 6.81. Key track is on up to 4.52. And warm drive is turned on as well. And so now let's just do our modulation envelopes. There seems to be a lot of things going on here, but it's really simple. So we're just going to select a pitch A and B here. So we're controlling the pitch to both part A and B. And we're going to bring this down to -7 so that it kind of works in a minor scale, whatever minor scale you are in. If you're in a major, then you know, think accordingly to that. But I like to think of this as like note value or semitones and whatever. So and next thing you're going to do, just kind of cut myself off and continue on. And speaking of cutoffs, bring in a cutoff A and B. So bring a cutoff A and B right under pitch A and B. So put that around 4.19. And so next, just bring the attack all the way up. We're going to bring the decay to 4.71. Sustain all the way down and release at 2.01. And now let's go to our second mod envelope. So we're gonna bring in distortion amount, so it should be somewhere all the way at the bottom, and phaser frequency. Actually, you don't need this one because I turned it off. I changed my mind about it, so you don't need that one. And so just distortion amount, and we're gonna put that to the attack to 2.64. We're gonna put decay at 4.77, sustain almost all the way up at 9.71, and release at 6.55. And let's see, LFO. Oh, we have a little bit of LFO. So that's just on the cutoff A and B. You're just gonna bring this little parameter right here next to it, the knob, all the way up. You're gonna put the LFO rate to 1/4. If you can't get it to show you these kind of numbers, it's probably because you're on free, and free will give you in hertz, so you don't want that unless you like that. That just gives you a little bit more control and gives you some more interesting rates, but if you want to lock it in and sync it to your song, this is the way to go. And the wave is a triangle wave. The gain is up all the way because it has to be for us to hear the full effect of the LFO. And the offset, I don't even think I moved that. That's still at 6.10, I think. And so now let's go into our distortion here. So it's just a bit crush. So you just click on type, and then you select your distortion, and I brought the amount all the way up. Dry wet is at pretty much 50%. I added a little bit of chorus just for a little bit more detune and a little bit more chorusy wideness, I guess. Is kind of what I wanted. So dry wet 16%, around there. I brought the delay all the way down, rate all the way down, depth to 40%. It's odd that I didn't bring feedback to at least halfway, but I kind of left it around there. Let me see if it does anything for me. So I'm gonna kind of play this on my keyboard. Well, if you want to have chorus on, that is up to you. I'm not noticing it to be an essential or big part of the sound, so I guess I might have been tweaking the preset and might have just decided to throw down the parameter really low just until I could figure out what I wanted to do with it. Right now it's not doing too much, but if you want to copy what I have here now, so my dry wet's around 13% or so. It's not really doing much. Again, on or off, it's up to you. It's not essential, so maybe off. But what is essential is the next part, and that is the delays. For me, the delays kind of make it much more wide, obviously, because that's kind of what delays are supposed to do, delay one side from another. But if you kind of sync your delays on both sides together, it just kind of has a nice kind of wideness or space aspect that's given to the sound. So for this, let's start off with dry wet. Dry wet is around 26%, so it's, I think anywhere from 20 to 30% is where you notice the delays, at least with silent, and where it's not too overbearingly loud, and it's not, I think the 20 to 30% range is a good range for dry wet delays. So let's move on to what I set the left side to. The left side is 1/8. The right side is exactly the same. It's 1/8. So they're both synced in the delay times on both sides. And I like to kind of low cut these a bit too. So you can see that I have mine at pretty much 1.2K, which would be 1205 hertz. And then I have a high cut at 3600 or 3.6K, and I turned off the ping pong because I didn't really want that on this delay, so I turned off ping pong. Let's see, smear spread. I think nope. Okay, on feedback I probably brought this up to 64%, and that's pretty much for that delay. Let's go to our reverb now. So reverb, I put the pre-delay to like 105 milliseconds. Kind of, that's supposed to be a little bit synced with my BPM, which is 128 BPM. There is a way to calculate reverbs and delay times. That's 60,000 divided by your BPM, and that will give you a quarter note delay. And so going off that kind of algorithm, I calculated a delay time. I can't remember what it was, but I think at this BPM it's 108. And so to make it seem a little bit faster and slightly faster by milliseconds, I put out 105. And let's see, for my damp, I left that kind of right around the middle. Size, I brought that up to 8.69, and dry wet is at 36%. So that's what I did here for this in silence. So what you should probably have without all the reverbs and stuff that I have is something like this. Actually, I'm not using other reverbs. Let's see, yeah, I'm not. I just created this session yesterday to demonstrate all this. And so then I just have a sidechain, a EQ that's doing nothing. And then I brought in this utility plugin to add even more width to it, because without it, it's very centered and it's sort of too mono for what I want it for. Again, this is the layer that's going to add all the space to this. So I kind of added on utility, which is a Ableton plugin. You'll find it in audio effects all the way at the bottom, close to the bottom. If you're in Logic or FL or any of those, just think of it like whatever plugin adds more width. It's usually like a plugin that ends up on a master track or something like that. So I just added, or like you could just pan it out, I guess. Just pan it to the sides away from the center. And so I just added, like, this is a 161% width, and to compensate for panning it so far out, I added almost 3 dB gain, because when you pan things out, you lose volume, and that's usually in 3 dB increments. So that's what I did there. And the Effectrix is what's giving me this little effect here at the end. So I'm just turning on the Effectrix when it plays here. So I'll let you hear that. It's not exactly the same as the song, the original. They have some way cool effect. I'm guessing maybe a guitar rig or maybe Effectrix, but they just had a lot of time to tweak it and stuff. To make songs like this, I mean, they're so minimalistic and simple, but you know, you put the hours in to make the details sweet and all that. So with the time I was given, last night I heard someone requested me to do this, and I just maybe put like 2 hours into this at most, and I just haven't had the time to tweak everything. But listen to the original and you'll kind of get the idea of what the effect is like. So it's kind of like a looper scratcher type thing, and then there's also like this high like riser that comes in too. So I think the riser is just added on a separate thing, but this is what mine sounds like. Oh, that I wish. So it has the stutter, and it doesn't have like the awesome other things, but if you guys don't know about Effectrix, it's a really great plugin for those kind of things. And so let me see, I just have the X loop on. I have no, these are on. Tonal delay, is that on? Whoops, those were actually all on. So let me add those back in. Actually, stretch was not. Crush is on, and delay is on. So I just closed off my the little thing up here that controls how many notes. Think of it like an arpeggio steps. So I just closed it down to 4 steps. I just lengthened these notes out in between. All of these are default, so none of these are any different than when you open up a blank Effectrix. So these are all default, and I just added these here. And then, like I said, I just automated it when it turns on. So now it turns on, and it's the same for all of these. These other layers have those too. So my sub layer has a sidechain to the kick and an effectrix, exactly the same one that I just showed you. This one just has an effectrix, and this one has a sidechain, a utility, and an effectrix. And there's nothing else going on. There's nothing on my master, nothing like that. So that's pretty much it. Really simple stuff. It didn't take me too long to do. I'm just kind of showing you guys what gets you these kind of vibes and what really takes, and kind of hopefully making this kind of stuff look a lot easier to do than what people think. Because what I've noticed with some producers, mainly new producers or people that are starting to get into this, they really overcomplicate things. And it's when you listen to songs, you know, they're supposed to feel very complicated and supposed to, well, not supposed to, but they're going to feel impossible to remake, and they're going to feel immersive. And to create an immersive song, you don't need a lot of things, and usually simple is a lot better. So with all that said, thanks guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. I think now, since the new Google Plus YouTube thing, I think we can now comment on the newer comments. But if it's an old comment that happened before the integration of Google Plus, I don't think we can comment back on that. So again, message us if you guys want to reply for sure. If not, leave a comment and we'll check that out too. So thanks guys for watching. Lights.